T-minus 1 minute. T-minus 50 seconds. T-minus 40 seconds. T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Right now on Truth Today, the sabotage of America, the rise of political violence and deception, with my guest, Leo Hohmann. We're going to be talking about how conservatives are being swatted. We're going to be talking about the Islamic takeover of America. We're going to be talking about, is Trump thinking about putting America as part of the British Commonwealth nations? That and much more right now on Truth Today. Well, good morning, good afternoon, folks. Thank you for joining us live here on Truth Today. Pastor Shahram Hadian here with you live in studio, and we're so glad you can be with us on our program. I pray you guys had a blessed weekend, and we're blessed in worshiping the Lord and continuing to follow Him in all matters. A couple of quick housekeeping items before we get into the program today. Just want to encourage you. If you are on our Rumble, we are live streaming to Rumble and to Facebook. And so remember, again, if you are on Facebook, here's our Rumble channel, rumble.com/Shahram Hadian. Please do us a favor, click follow to subscribe. And also, please like if you do like the content, and share the link if you would, to help us build up our viewership. Also, if you want to know about our ministry, visit our website, tilministry.com, tilministry.com. And if you want to prayerfully consider supporting this ministry, keeping us going, keeping us on the air, please do so there. You can make a donation there at the website, and I'll give you some information about that at the end of the program as well. Thank you for all of you who pray for us, support us. You are truly the glue that God uses to keep this ministry going together, and especially in an hour, in a day where, folks, the opportunities to speak truth are getting smaller and smaller. Less people have ears to hear the truth and truth tellers. So it is harder to get that kind of a platform, especially within the church. And so we're grateful for the opportunities that we do have, and we're grateful for all of you who support this ministry. And again, pray for us as well. Also, we are looking at some events that we're having early May. So if you guys are here in Tennessee, we have a special event that I'm going to announce on Thursday, where we're bringing a friend of ours from Israel into town. And so Aaron Lavarco is going to be here with us in the Knoxville area. Aaron is a Messianic Jew. He's a believer in Jesus and Yeshua, and he's going to be with us here May 3rd and 4th in town. So Thursday, I'll be giving some information about that. Also, and I think actually that's on our events calendar, again, on our website. If you go to our website, go to our events calendar, it is there. Also, I'm going to be traveling back to Wisconsin, Minnesota that next following week in May, right before Mother's Day. I'll be there. And so we'll be getting that information up on the website. By the way, let us know where you're from. Thank you for those of you who are already commenting. I am monitoring our live chat. And if you have questions for Leo today, I'm going to throw all the hard questions to him. He's going to answer all the hard questions. I get all the easy ones. So send your questions, and I will do my best to forward that to him. Very quickly, I just want to cover our verse of the day today. We're talking about sabotaging America. There it is, folks. Sabotaging America, the rise of political violence and the rise of deception. Yes, folks, even right now, even in the midst of a Trump era, we're seeing still lots and lots of deception with our guest today, my good friend Leo Hohmann, and we'll be talking to him just in a couple of minutes. But the verse that I have for us today, if you have your Bibles, is in 1 Peter chapter 5. 1 Peter chapter 5. And the writer here of the scripture says this by the Holy Spirit in verse 8 to verse 10. We'll go to 11. But here's what it says. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. Resist him, steadfast in the faith, knowing that the same sufferings are experienced by your brotherhood in the world. And of course, right now, we are witnessing the greatest suffering and the greatest persecution of Christians around the world. And yet, what do we hear from most of our churches? Nothing. Crickets, silence. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to bring attention to it. What do we hear from the American media? Nothing. Silence. What about all the ethnic cleansing going on in Syria right now? Nothing. Silence. So, and even from the White House, I contacted a person that I know who works in the White House, and just nothing. There's been no steadfast statement that what is going on right now in Syria and around the world to Christians and to the lukewarm Muslims, the Alawites, or the what the Quran calls the hypocrite Muslims, they're the ones who are being killed as well. Nothing. So we must understand that Satan is constantly walking about, looking to devour, looking to destroy, looking to sabotage. And I think this has been one of the greatest failures of the Western church and the American church, particularly in this country, but also in many Western countries, including Canada, New Zealand, Australia, Western Europe, with the demise of the church. And of course, God will preserve for himself a remnant church, right? So let's not lose sight. God will always provide for himself a remnant church. Always, 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 always. And so I want to be very clear. Sorry, I'm just going to check my mic here real quick, make sure. I want to be very, very clear. Everybody's good with audio. Someone said that they didn't have audio. Just give me a heads up on the thing if you have audio, if everyone's good. That the devil is always trying to sabotage. And the failure of the Western church is that we operate as if the devil is not real. We operate as if he's not trying to sabotage and deceive. And this is such a failure of leadership. It's such a failure of the pastoral leadership to not equip the church for all the warnings in the New Testament about deception. About deception. And so it is very important to make sure that that we have our eyes open, our ears open, and discernment to the Holy Spirit. It is very, very critical, folks, that we are aware. And even when it's uncomfortable, and even when it's, even in this administration and what's going on in our government right now, we rejoice in anything that is good, because there's been good things, but we also must be alert and awake to what is not good. So with that said, I want to bring in my guest today, my good friend, Leo Hohmann. Leo, of course, is one of the truth tellers out there. He has his Substack. We'll bring that up as well. And Leo just wrote an article that I wanted to highlight, a couple of articles, actually. One about the political violence in America that is increasing, that we knew was going to increase with the election of Trump. And second, about this push for globalism that has not gone away. So let me bring Leo on. Leo, brother, how are you today? Good to have you on the program with us.
I'm good, Sharam. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for making time again, and hope you and your family are doing well. Let's jump into this. I want to quickly ask your comment about my introduction, about the failure of the church, leadership in the church, particularly in the West, to see threats, to be able to understand that Satan is always trying to destroy, sabotage, and destroy. And it just seems like there's a naivety that, no, this somehow is not happening in America. Or it's not. I mean, we use this terminology, deep state, but we don't understand that we're talking about a demonic state. Really, a deep state is a demonic state. But just your comments there, and then we'll get into your articles.
Yeah, I think you're right on the money, Sharam. And what particularly struck me when you were talking about the situation was, even the White House has been silent about the butchering of Christians and Alawites in Syria by the demonic Sunni jihadist regime that was helped into power by our own CIA, by the British, by Israel. All three of those countries, along with Turkey being the actual force on the ground, I think, providing cover and whatnot for the jihadis, they all are complicit in butchering the Christians. Now, on behalf of Israel, I will at least say they tried to degrade the arms of this new regime right after it came to power, and they did do some strikes, I believe, about a week ago to try to push them back from slaughtering the Christians and the Alawites. So good for them on that, but they were involved in helping this regime come to power. There's no question about that. We cannot cover for them when it comes to that. But as far as protecting the Christians after the slaughtering started, it was Israel and Russia. Those are the two countries that have helped the Christians find a safe place to hide, basically, is what we're talking about. There's a Russian military base in the northeast coastal city area of the country of Syria, where a lot of these Christians and Alawites have been fleeing, thousands of them at last count. And if it weren't for that, it would be even much worse than it is. So, yes, I guess we shouldn't be surprised at the White House lack of response when you have someone like Paula White as the White House spiritual advisor. I mean, nothing against Paula personally, but she's basically a name it and claim it prosperity type Christian. And so those type of Christians don't really have a context, a knowledge, or a discernment to even deal with the situation, which is very intense right now around the world of Christian persecution. So, yeah, I'm very disappointed in the White House on that aspect. Now, also what you were talking about, with the failure of the church in general to recognize the enemy, the face of the enemy. Well, today's the 25th, March 25th. In 3 days, we have the Satanic Grotto, a nonprofit satanic religious organization getting ready to celebrate a black mass in the state capital of Kansas.
Wow.
I don't know if you've heard much about that.
No.
Yeah, it's coming up on March 28th. The governor, Democrat governor, has even said that they're not going to be allowed inside the Capitol. There's accusations on the part of the Catholic Archdiocese that the character leading this organization he's not only disgusting in that he blatantly attempts and openly admits that his entire intention is to blaspheme the Eucharist, the Holy Eucharist, as revered by the Catholic Church, but he's also stolen a Eucharistic host from a local Catholic church and is going to use that in the blasphemous ceremony. And so it's a big ruckus there in Kansas coming up this week. It's all going to come to a head. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But so far, only the Catholics have been sort of rallying against it, probably because, it's directly focused on their church. Right. But I do wish I would hear more about it from evangelical Christians, because we are under attack. Yeah. And that's just one symptom of it. We've got the Satanists running black mass ceremonies where they blaspheme the Christian Eucharist. We've got the Muslims taking over whole cities. Paterson, New Jersey is under a complete infiltration.
I got some stuff I want to talk to you about that.
Yeah. I mean, you've got a Muslim mayor there who's calling Paterson, New Jersey, the quote, fourth holiest site of Islam. I mean, can you believe this is America?
Yeah, absolutely. Right here. Here's that article there. Paterson mayor calls New Jersey City the capital of Palestine as the fourth holiest city. And this is a city, Leo, that is overrun, just like Hamtramck, Michigan, the mayor, the police chief. In fact, later, I want to bring up, I don't know if you saw this Arab cop there. Look at this in Paterson, where he's wearing the, quote, Palestinian flag, saying that, I'm from Palestine is my country, even though he says, I'm in America now. So we'll talk. This takeover is happening, but yet we are absolutely seeing a failure again to recognize evil, to recognize, and I'm sure you get this. I get this a lot in our ministry, where people just feel like we focus too much on the negative. We focus too much on the, quote, evil. Just focus on the good. Well, but you got to expose the evil.
That's the Paula White message, right?
Yes, that's it. And that's why I was not able to get I called my contact in the White House and I said, this is the perfect opportunity for the office, this brand new office of faith that has been set up in the West Wing, right there in the West Wing of the White House, to come out and make a definitive, strong statement on both the massacre of Christians, but also of the massacre of the Alawites that, again, you and I understand these are apostate Muslims. These are hypocrites. They don't follow the true teachings of the Quran. They don't follow abrogation. They're this cult. They're this sect, the small sect. And that's why the Sunnis are killing them. But let me go back to your point, because I want to highlight this again. We have to understand, and I mentioned this last week, that the CIA and British intelligence, probably MI6, and to some extent you're saying Mossad may have had a hand on this. They were aiding and abetting these Muslim, quote, Muslim rebels, right, in Syria. They armed them just as we armed ISIS back in 2013, 14. And then when Bashar al-Assad is overthrown, now you get this massive mess in a country where, here's another headline, in a country where, do I have that one where they're going to declare, I don't think I have this one anymore. They declared that they're under Sharia. And so again, this was not a surprise to you and I when I said back in December, this is terrible news for the Christians and the minority Muslims there, the minority Shia that are these Alawites. but yet silence from the media, silence from the White House, and so I'm very frustrated at the White House, because this would have been a perfect opportunity for them to come out and say, this is absolutely atrocious. We condemn this in the strongest term. We are praying for it. But what I hear is it's a lot of it is about photo ops. A lot of it is about, who gets money coming in to be able to be a part of that office of faith or part of that team. So they're not doing the real work. They're not doing the real work of standing up for faith and Christianity and the God of the Bible. But where are the pastors, Leo? Where are the churches that also have been silent? And like you said, the only country other than Russia, one of our listeners put the link on our chat, folks, about the Russians opening up that base. But Israel was the only one. And in fact, last night, apparently, they hit another target in Syria. I saw that article. So they're the only ones that are going after and trying to do something to maybe curb this. But this is bad news because Turkey is now in upheaval. We see this with obviously the arrest of the mayor of Istanbul, the political enemy of Erdogan. They're the ones who are taking over. So where do you see this going? Should we be any surprised, or is there any surprise to us of where this is going, based on we always seem to back the jihadist, and when it doesn't end well, we go, wow, how did that happen?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably going in the same direction it always goes. All we have to do is look at Iraq. The U.S. intervention in Iraq is really the exact same model of what we see in Syria. It's just not U.S. boots on the ground doing it. But we took out Saddam Hussein, who he was a dictator. I mean, I'm not going to say anything in defense of his dictatorship, but you cannot deny the fact that he did protect the Christian minorities of Iraq, along with the other religious minorities that you had in that country. As long as you did not try to overthrow his government as a religious organization, you were protected by his people. And as soon as we took him out, it was just wholesale open season on Christians. Iraq had at one time 3 million Christians. I mean, it was a huge ancient Christian community.
Right.
And now the last figure I heard was somewhere around 100,000. They all were forced to either leave or they lost their lives.
Wow.
And so it was mostly the Shia Muslims who, in that case, I believe the Shia Muslim militias who started targeting the Christians. This was a group that was, of course, very much put in its place under the Sunni government of Saddam Hussein. So it's almost like the reverse situation of what's in Syria right now.
Right.
But still, bottom line, Muslims killing Christians after a U.S. intervention. So, there is a pattern here. It's similar in Libya as well. So
yes, in Libya, in Egypt, same thing.
Yes.
We tried to intervene in Egypt under Obama with Hosni Mubarak. Same thing. These dictators that are not great guys,
secular.
They're secular. They're secular. We saw this with Gaddafi. We saw this with Hosni Mubarak and the Shah of Iran. I mean, going back to my birth country, where he was more of a secular dictator. He called himself a Muslim, but he was secular. He was a monarch, but yet he protected the religious minorities. He protected the Jews. He protected the Armenians. He protected the Baha'i. But then you overthrow him. You bring in Khomeini, these Arab ayatollahs that are not even Persian. They're not even from Iran. And Leo, look at the mess in Iran 46 years later. Now look at what's going on here. And if it wasn't for El-Sisi, if it wasn't for the military in Egypt, this would have happened in Egypt.
Yes.
There would have been a massacre of the Christians in Egypt as well. So we intervene, and yet the U.S. government now, and I want to get your comment on this. By the way, I just brought up, folks, this is Leo's Substack right there, leohohmann.substack.com. Please check it out. Please subscribe. Please support Leo. But I want to bring up this here. So Steve, where is my article there on Witkoff? I had it here. I want to get your comments on Witkoff because I thought that I had this and maybe I didn't bring it, folks. I'm sorry. I thought because he was commenting that he was duped. What is the headline that I saw? He was duped
by Hamas or something?
Duped by Hamas. Yes, right here. U.S. envoy Witkoff says Hamas, quote, duped him, blames renewed Gaza attacks on Hamas's reneging on agreement. Like, oh my goodness, what a shock. Right. What a surprise, Steve. And then he was on Tucker Carlson. You know, they were gushing over Qatar. I don't know if you saw that. They were just gushing over the Saudis, gushing over Qatar. And then he said, there is a path where Hamas can stay in Gaza. And so he said, as long as they demilitarize, like that's ever going to happen, right? Like they're going to demilitarize and not want to kill Jews because that's what they're about. They're just about.
Hey, they kill their own people if they don't sufficiently hate the Jews. I mean,
exactly, right? That's exactly. So this is the guy Witkoff that we have shown that is in bed with the Qataris, right? The Qataris bailed him out in his hotel project in New York when his Indonesian buddy left him hanging for $600 and whatever $million. The Qataris come and buy it. So Witkoff now says, as the Middle East envoy, okay, now think about this for a second, Leo. If you're labeled as the Middle East envoy for the White House, then you think that you would have a better understanding of the Middle East and the people who live there and the ideology that drives them and the understanding of, you know, Sunni and Shia and understanding of jihad and understanding of what motivates them. You know, why do they hate the Jews so much? Why do they want to annihilate? Why is Hamas's charter? You think they would have a little bit. So you're telling me that you think you trusted Hamas to actually keep this deal that we all knew was the deal with the devil. 59, I think last number I heard, 56, 59 dead and alive hostages are left, mostly dead probably. This is crazy. And yet this is what they're doing. And this deception goes on where now they want to be able to placate Hamas. They want to be able to create a two-state solution. Is this guy just a fool? Is he playing us? What's your thought on?
Well, I think he's probably run into a brick wall with the Saudis. The Saudis have put out a couple of statements since Trump came out with his Gaza plan saying that it's a no-go if you
right.
that you're not going to have. They're out. They said count us out of the peace talks if you're going to talk about a one-state solution and you're going to move the Palestinians out of Gaza and relocate them to other Arab countries. That was a no-go for Saudi Arabia. And without Saudi Arabia, none of it works. So I think he was backed into a corner. I thought that when Trump came out with his plan that it sounded, wonderful to some people, but it's not realistic. You're not going to relocate 2 million Palestinians out of Gaza. The countries around there won't take them. And if they do take them, my goodness, what would we have to pay them?
Well,
you talk about wasteful USAID spending now.
Right.
I can't imagine the promises that would have to be made to countries like Egypt and Jordan to take these 2 million Palestinians into their country and take on that burden, financial burden, not to mention the ideological burden of these folks. So I never understood the proposal by Trump, and it's hit a brick wall like I knew it would. And that's the problem. This is a problem that's not going to be solved until the Antichrist comes on the scene.
Yeah, exactly.
And because let's face it, nobody wants these people. Nobody wants them. And so, you've got them living right there in the middle of what is ancient Israel, surrounded by Israeli territory. And they are committed to their book, their scriptures that says that the land is is theirs, and they need to take it by whatever means necessary. Okay. And then you've got the Jewish people with the same type of claims on the land from their book, the Torah. And so you basically have a religious war going on here.
Yes.
Now, so no politician is going to come up with a peace plan for that and settle that unless they have supernatural powers from the pit of hell. And that's what we're going to see, I think, in the form of when Satan indwells the body and spirit of this man, the Antichrist. He's going to come up with a solution. But bar none, until that, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. It's not going to happen. I had Dr. Andy Woods on with me last week, and we were talking about this very thing of the environment. And then my friend, Pastor Brandon Holdhouse, was telling me about the environment right now, what's going on in Israel, because they are so desperate, because they're reliant on America for all of their ammunition, which is a bad situation as a country, to be reliant on, okay, right now it's Trump. Okay. But then, it could not be Trump. And so and he said that they're getting so battle fatigued in Israel right now. IDF soldiers, he was telling me, their families are falling apart. Divorces are happening because they have family members that don't support this war or don't support it the way it's going on. Now we learned that potentially Hamas is completely rearmed again, that their numbers are because apparently they're recruiting like 16-year-olds. Again, this is what tells you and I
you
that
can wipe out 99% of them, Sharam, and the 1% that's still alive and their offspring are going to be 10 times more vicious than the ones you just killed. Okay. This is the reality. When Trump talks about, or Netanyahu's even worse, actually, when he talks about eliminating Hamas, I just laugh. That's nothing but talk. I guess he actually believes his own talk, but it's never going to happen. The more you kill, the more terrorists you create.
Yeah, the more jihadists you create. Exactly. It actually feeds right into their jihadist pipeline, I think. That's right.
Because they don't value human life.
They don't.
They actually, I think, like when a lot of their own people get killed, because that makes it easier to recruit.
Absolutely. It is. It is not only recruit, but then the sympathy. And we'll see, because again, I read an article 2 days ago where the Egyptians are saying they may take 500,000. But again, if they do, they're talking about creating an entire zone for them because they don't want them to assimilate. I mean, what does that tell you? They don't want them to assimilate within the Egyptian population. The Jordanians don't want them. I read another article last week to say maybe Somalia is going to take some. I'm like, hey, go to Somalia, because that fits right then with the Somalis. No offense to the Somalis, but I think they would be well suited for each other, because they're both stuck in a backwards culture. But this is ideological, as you said. This is a spiritual war. It's a holy war. But what Dr. Woods and Pastor Brandon Holdhouse were telling me, who both have recently been in Israel, they were telling me that the environment is so ripe for them, so desperately wanting security, that they're primed for the Antichrist. They're getting primed, because this battle is not going to be won. It is not going to be won, folks. There is no two-state solution. There is no coexisting. And as you said, both claim, of course, we would agree with the Bible that the land is to the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But the Muslims claim the land. This is not about a nation, a state. Leo, let's move on, because I want to get to your article, because your article that you had is talking about first of all, the political violence. Again, we talked about the show today. We're talking about this political violence, that we see this rise of political violence. And you had a great article. Again, folks, this is on Leo's Substack right here. Let me bring up the link here for us. Where'd it go? Right here. So go to Leo's Substack right there. So the article was, first of all, addressing, we're seeing an increase of political violence, an increase of these swatting incidents where people are calling police and, for example, saying, and I'm surprised that hasn't happened to like you and me and Brandon and others. that they haven't targeted us yet, but they've targeted mainly right-wing conservative voices, where it's like, okay, I'm going to call the police on you and say, I just witnessed him kill his whole family, and he's armed, and he's got multiple weapons, and he's suicidal. And now the SWAT team shows up at your house with multiple officers, multiple weapons drawn, breaking down your door. Someone's going to get killed. And I hear tough talk from Pamela Bondi, but nothing is happening yet. What's your thought on this article that you wrote about political violence on the rise across America as the left swats reporters and conservative media? Your thoughts?
Yeah, the latest was Owen Schroyer, longtime reporter for InfoWars. Before that, it was Joe Pags, longtime conservative radio host. A week before that, it was Jamie White, another InfoWars reporter, was murdered outside of his apartment. We still haven't gotten any answers as to exactly the motive. It appears like it could have been a robbery, because the guy was breaking into Owen's car, and when Owen saw him and went out to find out what was going on, the guy shot him to death. And so, that could have just been a setup to get him to come out. We don't know if that was politically motivated. So, to make it look like a robbery, but actually it was a cold-blooded murder. And so a lot of this is going on. I don't know where it's going to stop. It is frustrating, the reaction from Pam Bondi. Owen Schroyer really took her to task in a couple of tweets last week. He's like, when are you going to basically get off your duff and do something? She's made a couple of tough statements, but we haven't seen anyone arrested for these swatting incidents, even though she admitted that the DOJ has tracing technological capabilities where they can trace calls. So why haven't we seen any arrests? She's also said that, she was really tough on the Tesla terrorists.
Like here, for example, is this was, I think, one of them here. The Tesla takedown, Democrats incite to more Tesla terrorism as violent attacks on dealerships owners spike. We saw that. We saw,
and she's made a couple of arrests on that.
Yeah, here's another article from InfoWars.
She said that she wants to go not after just the people doing the, throwing the Molotov cocktails at the dealerships and whatnot, but also she wants to go after who is funding them. Yes. Well, I have some good advice for Miss Pam Bondi.
Let's hear it.
A good place to start would be George Soros.
Right.
Because he admittedly, a group called Indivisible, I'm sure you've heard of them. They are a radical, often violent group of lefties. They are directly funded by George Soros foundations. And they have said openly that they are going to plan more attacks against Tesla properties. Okay. So it would seem to me that you've got the basis for an investigation right there in their own words, and the receipts that show funding, where it's coming from, Soros foundations. So if you really do want to go after not just the street level thugs, but the people who are funding them, Pam Bondi, why not start with George Soros? Just a little hint there.
I mean, that's like low hanging fruit. Like that should be like the low hanging fruit.
Right.
And then on top of that, Soros is the one who's backing all of these prosecutors and many of these, like Austin. I just brought this up. If you didn't see it again, police confirm multiple incendiary devices found at Tesla dealership in Austin. So Austin's a very liberal city. They have these liberal cities have these Soros backed DAs. They're not going to, prosecute these kind of crimes. So you're right. That's low hanging fruit. But the point here today is between, again, we talk about this red and green axis, Leo, right? So between the red of the axis, you have these Marxists, these fascists, the Antifa likes, so the left is arming itself. They're getting more and more angry, more and more demonic. And then you have the green, you have Islam. And somebody made a good point on the live chat, and I want to address this, that Leo and I are not saying that just because Muslims are killed, that's the only reason they're angry. Islam has been angry since its inception. Islam has been demonic, and since the so-called abrogated verses of the Quran showed up, according to Muhammad, it has called for violence against unbelievers. It has called for violence against those Muslims that are hypocrites. Again, Surah chapter 9, verse 73 says that. It says, wage jihad against the infidels and the hypocrites. So the infidels being unbelievers, non-Muslims, the hypocrites being hypocrite Muslims, those who don't follow exactly the strict interpretation. But now you have these groups working together, Leo. We're seeing it on the college campuses like in Columbia, where the professors yesterday are out there trying to, even though they've told Trump, okay, we'll agree with your conditions so that we don't lose our $400 million. The professors were out there yesterday inciting the students to continue, doing what they're doing with all the so-called Palestinian flags. This political violence and the players, this red-green axis that is fomenting this violence, we knew this was going to happen, but it seems like the country's not ready for it. I don't know. Am I wrong? Did they think that Trump gets in, the economy gets a little better, and everybody's hunky-dory? Is that what we thought would happen?
I sure didn't think that. I mean, the level of infiltration by the globalists, communists, and Islamists in this country is much more far-reaching, broader, and deeper than anyone knows.
Right.
99% of the people, at least, what they know. And so just changing out the president, one person's office, is not going to make a whole lot of difference. In fact, I would argue that it's a bigger difference on the appearance level, on the exterior, than is actually being seen on the ground. And what do I mean by that? President Trump, since he took office, has issued a dizzying array of executive orders, all of which sound wonderful, right? One after another, and everybody's celebrating. But then what happens? At least 50% of them or more have been overturned in the courts. We've had 15 cases now in which the courts have granted temporary injunctions of one sort or another to say, nope, you can't do that. And so, and even transgenders in the military, a court a couple days ago came out and said, nope, can't do that. Can't bar the transgenders from joining the military. Can't kick out the illegal alien criminal gang members.
Yeah.
Turn that plane around in midair and bring them back.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
Ridiculous.
So, these are communists, Marxists, and globalists with no other purpose other than to see this country ground into the dirt. I mean, there is no other explanation for that. Okay. This guy in the DC court, what is his name? It starts with the B, who overturned
Bolstra, whatever his name is.
Right. I mean, he's an incredibly
arrogant,
destructive person.
Yeah. Destructive, arrogant.
Yeah. I mean, is he an Obama appointee, I believe?
Yes. Obama right here.
Can you believe
Bollesberg.
Bollesberg. I actually saw one publication. It was a mainstream publication. I don't remember if it was the New York Times or what, but it was amazing. They actually said that Judge Bollesberg is a conservative judge.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Well, because he has some connection to John Roberts. Apparently they were part of the same club or bar thing together. I read that last night.
That's how they use what we would call rhino type Republicans, like John Roberts or Mitt Romney or John McCain, Lindsey Graham. they are used very cleverly by the left and the leftist media because they make it sound like to the general reader, oh, look, even a conservative believes this, that, or the other.
Right.
Well, they don't explain that these guys are not conservatives. They just wear the Republican label, right? And they might be conservative on one or two issues, but otherwise they play ball with the deep state. It's really disgusting not only to see all of these policies from Trump being held up in the courts, but then the media celebrating it every time it happens. I mean,
well, and then they want to use all of a sudden the media now believes in the Constitution and the separation of powers, and it's laughable. And of course, I did agree with Bondi because she told Boasberg yesterday that hey, we are invoking national security. I'm not going to give you this information, because he was not only wanting that plane, he wanted the manifesto for other planes that are going out. And this is under the discretion of the president and the State Department. They have the ability to be able to designate groups as a terrorist organization. Certainly, hold on a second. Certainly, you and I were labeled as domestic terrorists under the last administration. Certainly, you and I were labeled as violent extremists, and nobody in the media got upset about that. But now that it's against the other side, and you want to label these Hamas sympathizers or jihadists in the country, and you're seeing this from leftist judges, you're seeing it from Muslim judges, you're seeing it all across the board, where they're using lawfare, and this is their tactic. And here's what I'm looking at: lawfare and media
fair.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. Lawfare and media fair. Well said. Here's what I'm looking at, because the stinking Congress right now, that ought to be, and I agree with DeSantis. Look, it's very simple. You just limit their jurisdiction. You can't impeach them because you need 67 votes in the Senate, but you can, by a simple majority, limit their jurisdiction. Just come out and say that no federal judge has the authority to issue a nationwide injunction. No. There's 900 of these federal judges. They have limited jurisdiction. They can only act in their jurisdiction. So they can issue an injunction in their jurisdiction, but they can't do it nationwide.
There's no way the founding fathers ever intended for federal district court local judges to make a nationwide decision. I don't know when that started, Sharon.
Yeah.
But it was wholly unconstitutional.
Completely. And it's completely upending the authority of the executive branch. Now, obviously, like, there was things that Trump did. For example, the birthright one, the birthright citizenship. I said from the very beginning that executive order is going to be struck down, because I think, unfortunately, it has to now be probably an act of Congress. It's going to be have to go up to the Supreme Court, because they've already established through other precedent that there's birthright citizenship. Even though, of course, I don't believe that there should be birthright citizenship for someone that has been born into this country. I think you can give them a path to being legal, meaning the child. I'm talking about the child now. If the child who was brought in or was born here, I guess, so because you got to stop the influx of those who come here just to pop out babies, because they come here just to pop out a baby, and now the baby is a U.S. citizen. So I've always felt strongly that shouldn't be the way that the Constitution is applied. However, other executive orders that are clearly within the jurisdiction of the executive branch, for example, everybody, according to the Constitution, the president is the one who's vested with the power of the executive, and anybody that works under the executive, all of those different departments, the funding of those departments are all within the purview of the executive. These judges have no authority to do what they're doing. But where is Congress? Where is the other branch of government that simply could say, we're going to limit your scope, period. Day one, boom, quickly limit the scope of these courts, no nationwide injunctions. That would solve the problem right there. Because then they can't judge shop. Because if they judge shop and they find some judge in leftist Washington state then the injunction would only apply to leftist Washington State.
Right.
Fine. You guys want to bring more illegals in? Go for it. But a judge telling the military that you can't ban transgenders, you can't have a procedure for, anyway, crazy. But
for vetting, right?
For vetting, yeah. Let's get to your other article, because this political violence obviously is a massive concern. We should not be surprised by this. We should not be shocked by this, Leo, because as you said, we know that they're unhinged, and this is a spiritual battle again. And my concern is that so many Christians, and I've seen it, I'm sure you've seen it, so many Christians have gone back to sleep again. Soon as Trump got elected, soon as he got inaugurated, they've gone back to sleep again.
Hey, Sharam.
Yeah.
For the last 3 weeks, my Substack numbers have been plummeting. It's never done this. And I've been on Substack for 2.5 years. My other website I've had up and going for 8-9 years. I have never seen this. Wow. The free subscriptions are kind of holding steady, but not growing like they were. And the paid subscriptions on Substack are actually falling. That means people are, not only am I not getting new subscribers, but my current subscribers are not renewing it when it comes up due. And so, and that's only a $7 a month subscription. Okay. And so some people just pay the $80 and they're good for a year, but most of them do $7 a month. I can only attribute this to maybe a couple things. Maybe I've been a little too brutally honest about some of the things I see going on in the Trump administration, and a lot of people don't want to go there. Okay, that's just too difficult. We've got to have faith in this one man. He's going to fix everything.
Right.
And number two, it's people like you just said who they've just gone back to sleep. Okay. They don't want to do the hard work of staying informed. Because if you're informed of what's going on, now you've got to make difficult choices, right? Should I pull my kids out of public school? Should I, stop eating such and such food? I do a lot of health-related articles. So people are pushing back against the truth right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know what we got to do to wake them back up.
Well, that's the problem, and we're seeing the same thing. We've seen our opportunities dwindle. The only thing that I can think of, Leo, that I've talked to my family about too, is that I do think that where you and I connected from the very beginning, your book Stealth Jihad, that is on Barnes and Noble's, great book that you wrote against Stealth Invasion, which includes the jihadist invasion of America and all the refugee resettlement, all those different things that you covered in there. It's on Barnes and Noble's. I'm seeing that maybe there is some interest because of the Islamic takeover. Because listen, when we see the mayor, again, going back to this, folks, if you joined us late, when we see the mayor of Paterson, New Jersey, Muslim, declare a city in America to be the capital of Palestine, when we see this police officer, if you watch the video, you can go to Geller and watch the video of this Arab Muslim who is wearing a Palestinian flag of a country that doesn't exist on his vest as a police officer in the United States. Imagine if one of them was wearing an Israeli flag. I wonder how well that would go for them.
Right.
And you have then you have, our buddy Yasser Qadi and his epic city, 402-acre monstrosity of a Muslim city that he wants to build in Josephine, Texas.
And the governor really doing nothing about it.
Really nothing. A little lip service. We're not going to have Sharia, like they're going to be able to stop it. I'm working with folks up in Lino Lakes in Minnesota to try to stop this one because their moratorium is about to end. And they're trying to stop that one, which CARE, by the way, has sued the city council members who voted for the moratorium and are basically going, we need more time to understand the impact of a 156-acre thousands of Muslims in a rural area. This is outside of Minneapolis. This is a farming community. It's not even zoned for residential. So they're right now, the city council is like swimming in swamp water trying to figure out what's going on. Meanwhile, CARE Minnesota sues those 2 or 3 city council members that voted for the moratorium because, they're Islamophobic. Meanwhile, this is all going on. The violence is increasing from this right and left. We got police in New York telling you that they're going to have more Muslims in hijabs. We have 1,200 Muslim officers in NYPD. 1,200? That's like a small army.
Wow.
And 10 in hijab. And this Muslim officer here says we need another 100,000 wearing hijabs, Leo. This is all happening. Meanwhile, let's get to this part of your article. Trump makes astonishing statement. We just got a few minutes here. U.S. joining Britain. What is up with this?
Yeah, this is probably the most complicated thing I've written about, and we've saved it for the last 2 minutes.
I know. I'm going to bring you back on because this is a developing story. So I'm going to bring you back on here soon because, like you said, you can't just delve into it. Does this go along with the fact that this was earlier this year when Trump made the statement about congestion pricing is dead, Manhattan, all of New York is saved, long live the king? Is he joking? What do you think?
Well, that's up for debate, but I do know that that's not the first time he has referred to himself as a king. You go way back into Trump's history, and he's mentioned it several times that he sees himself that way. He also displays proudly his Scottish coat of arms, which he was challenged on that in the UK. They said some families said that he stole their coat of arms, and it somehow did get resolved. But so he has this, and he said, "I love King Charles," in this tweet recently or post Truth Social, where he said that he's definitely open to considering joining the United States to the British Commonwealth of Nations. I think it's 56 nations that are part of this Commonwealth. It's sort of like a loose affiliation with the British Royal Crown. Canada is a full member. Trump is having the United States considered, or we're being invited actually by King Charles to be an associate member. And I think it all fits in with Trump's continuously pounding this issue of making Canada the 51st state, trying to annex Greenland and make this North American technate. And then we could get in maybe in a future show with this character named Curtis Yarvin, who is sort of the philosophical mindset behind the technocracy movement in the world today. He's affiliated with Peter Thiel, who's one of Trump's biggest financial backers and has a direct connection to J.D. Vance. Right. Peter Thiel financed J.D. Vance's Senate campaign and his vice presidential campaign. And so there's some nefarious characters here. I don't know that Trump fully understands what's going on, but he seems to embrace it. And so this is what the article is about. This connection, this unseemly connection, I would say, with the British royal family. And how does that play in with his negotiations with Russia right now to try to end the Russia-Ukraine war? I predict that Trump may end up deceiving Vladimir Putin. And while we may see a short-term peace deal reached, I think Putin is going to end up feeling double-crossed, and that war will break out again after a brief intermission, maybe a period of weeks or months, or maybe even a year or two. And when it does pick back up, I think it's going to be more ferocious than ever and will lead to World War III.
It's interesting you're mentioning Russia again, because we know that prophetically many believe that Russia will be a part of that coalition that comes against Israel in Ezekiel 38. So though right now there seems to be some posturing of hey, we're trying to, make amends with Russia. We're trying to have some sort of relationship. That's interesting. Very astute on your part that this could backfire. This could be a a trap, whether Trump knows it or not. And this is very concerning to me that he's saying that we would come under the British Commonwealth, because as you know, we've talked about this. There's a lot of people that think that Charles, I mean, I know there's people out there that think Charles could be the Antichrist, and I'm not
There's
sure
a whole
about
book.
that.
There's a whole book on that.
But yet certainly he's part of that system.
His son, I think his son might be a better candidate.
Yeah, exactly. William. So certainly they're part of that system. Charles is loved in the Muslim world. We know that it's got to bring the Muslims to the table. And now, after fighting against the British and lives lost and declaring our independence, and as right as we're coming up to our 250th anniversary next year,
yes,
we want to go back under that.
And there's a dark history, Shahram. I don't know if you're aware of it, between Russia and the UK. Britain, along with France, fought on the side of the Ottoman Muslims against Russia.
Wow.
In the Crimean War in the 1850s.
Wow.
And so there's that bitter, dark history between the two, Russia and the UK. And the British royal family really, I think, is the core of all of this anti-Russia, Russia propaganda that is being fed throughout the Western world right now. It all goes back to the British crown. They have the history along with France as well. Napoleon invaded Russia, for heaven's sake. And so there is a bad history between Britain, France, and Russia. And it really is true that history repeats itself. I think that confrontational relationship between those countries is getting ready to resurface in 21st century today.
Wow. So again, folks, that article is on Leo's Substack, and I encourage you, it's worth the $7 a month to be able to subscribe and support him and keep these articles flowing. So it's right there, leohohmann.substack.com.
The thing about it is, Shahram, I open my Substack up to everybody for free. I simply ask people if they want to support the Substack and keep me going to do a paid subscription. Yeah. But I don't want to withhold the information from anyone, so I do make it free. But I need a certain number of paid subscribers to keep it going.
Absolutely. And it's worth it, folks. It's worth it to keep people like Leo doing what he's doing on the air, investigating, reporting. We so appreciate what you're doing. And by the way, Thursday night, because I know your article highlights Patrick Wood from Technocracy News, and I've had Patrick on before, and I think we're going to have him on soon. But I will have you come back because we're going to follow this story of where this goes. This really messed with me because there's a lot of things that Trump is doing. Like, for example, I feel very strongly about that the Abraham Accords are unbiblical, that no Christian should be supporting the Abraham Accords. I think that is the potential foundation of the ultimate covenant that is going to come between Israel and these other nations. But this one really messed with me because why, right now the UK is in an absolute mess with Islam. They're overrun. Yes. They're bending over backwards to protect the Muslims, protect the race game.
They have that history. They were on the side of they were trying to preserve the power and strength of the Ottoman Empire. I kid you not, in the 1850s. Them along with France. They saw Russia as a threat to the Ottoman Empire and therefore went to war with Russia to protect that empire.
And they're doing it again. And they're doing it again where they're protecting the Muslims. It may not be a actual empire, but it's the Muslim Brotherhood, it's the Muslim movement, it's all of the
it's a shadow empire.
It's a shadow empire, exactly. And so they're doing it again. And now the fact that Trump wants to get in bed potentially with that element and what's going on really is concerning for the blessing of God on our nation or the hand of judgment upon our nation. This is one of the questions you and I asked about. And I want to, next time I have you on, we can delve deeper, is we just didn't know with Trump's election. There was a sense of grace. There was a sense of reprieve, but we didn't know, will it slow down the globalism push or will it actually accelerate it? That's what we didn't know.
That's very astute. Yes.
And
because I feel like the New World Order globalists, they milked the left for everything they could get out of it.
Right.
And used the left to push their globalist policies to the max. But in order to complete the strategy, they could only go so far with the left. Yeah. To get the rest of the world on board with the New World Order globalist plan, they had to do it through the right. They needed a strong leader from the right to emerge, and I think President Trump is their man now. And you can see this with him funding the surveillance state and these technocratic data centers, massive data centers that will be used to build the AI infrastructure for the next couple of decades. And he's building a huge one in Texas. They're building them in Georgia. Mark Zuckerberg is building one in Louisiana. They are blanketing America with AI data centers, data collection centers that I believe will be weaponized by a future administration. Trump just sees the good in artificial intelligence. He does not see the dark side and how it can be weaponized for the surveillance state and turn us into a country like China. And so this is what we're up against. We've got a president who's very idealistic. He loves technology. He wants to be first in the world. And all of that sounds great, but he's not completely up to speed on exactly who he's dealing with when we talk about characters like, Bill Gates, Microsoft, Larry Ellison, Oracle, Sam Altman, OpenAI,
Elon.
Mark Andreas is his chief technology advisor. These are all technocratic, globalist people that should be kept at arm's length.
Yeah, and then of course, as I said, Elon on top of that, being a technocrat,
he's building a data center. He's building a huge data center in Memphis, Tennessee.
That's right, in Memphis, Tennessee. And so again, folks, we can look at the good things, and I agree with what Leo's saying. I think that this is not nefarious on Trump's part. He's idealistic. But it is going to be nefarious when you don't understand how the enemy operates. When you don't understand, as we started the show, that the enemy is walking around, prowling around to devour. He's a devourer. He's a saboteur. And when you don't understand, just like with Steve Witkoff, this fool, when you go, oh, I didn't understand Hamas. When you don't have people around you that can tell you, well, Mr. President or Steve or whoever, you can't trust the Islamic world. You can't trust these people because guess what? They make agreements and they break them all the time. Muhammad did that again and again and again. That's the foundation of Islam. Make a treaty, break a treaty, make a treaty, break a treaty. They can lie, they can deceive. It's called taqiyya or various aspects. So if somebody was there to understand, and then like you said, if Paula White wasn't Dominion theology and actually had a perspective of warning about end-time prophecy, then maybe Paula White would be advising the president, Mr. President, have you read the Bible? These things are in the Bible, and it's not going to be good. So maybe we shouldn't be going full steam ahead right now into technocracy, into globalism, into artificial intelligence, into this stuff that then the Antichrist is going to use to control humanity.
We really need to pray for our president right now.
We do more than ever. And he needs better counsel around him and better people. And certainly I think he's done better in this administration in some regards than others, because from what I've read and talking to my contact.
The first administration was a complete debacle in terms of his advisors.
And also keeping control over the White House. This administration right now, this White House is run, for better or for worse, from what I've been told, is run as a tight ship. It is much, much tighter.
Although they did just have the first big breach this week regarding the Yemen battle plan being leaked. Yeah.
With Mike Waltz. Yeah. And I just read an article before we went on air.
I never understood that particular pick, Mike Waltz. He is a neocon warmonger from way back. I did not understand making him your national security advisor.
Yeah. So they're going, so now I don't know if this is like they're trying to do what they did to Flynn. They're trying to do it to him. But we got to pray. Bottom line, folks, we got to pray for the president. We got to pray that the Lord would give us as much time, because right now, sitting here, I can't answer the question yet. Is there going to be any delay in what is prophetically going to happen with this beast system, or is it going to actually accelerate? Because when you look at digital currency, digital ID, all those things that we know were supposed to be implemented this year, will there be a pushback or will it go faster? In some ways, in what's going on in Israel, I think what's going on in Israel is making things go faster. Yes. I think that it potentially is leading Israel into even being more open to the deception of the coming Antichrist, which concerns me obviously for what's for there and for America.
And here at home, Sharam, I do believe President Trump believes in freedom. I don't see him as wanting to weaponize this technology.
Correct.
My fear, I want to be clear for the listeners here. Yeah. I don't see President Trump as some kind of dictator wannabe. Right. I do believe that he's a true-blooded American freedom lover. My fear is that he's not fully aware or cognizant of how this AI infrastructure that he's building out will be weaponized by a future regime in this country.
Yes, exactly. And lately, the Lord's been laying this on my heart. And one of our chat members commented, and we'll close with this. We need to pray for, not just pray for him, we need to pray for his salvation. Because remember, the only one that says he came to faith is Paula White. Paula White is the one who says that I pray with the president. So if Paula White, with all due respect, is giving you a gospel, I'm not sure if it's the gospel. And so we need to pray for his salvation, because somebody commented that a true born-again Christian maybe would recognize this. But here's the other problem to that statement, American Patriots. Remember, lots of Christians in the church, I was talking about this with Pastor Brandon Holdhouse last week, 97% of the American church has no clue about prophecy. They either believe everything is done and done away with, or they don't read it. So even if you are a born-again Christian and spirit-filled, it doesn't mean you've read your Bible. It doesn't mean you properly interpret your Bible and understand that this system that is coming is not God's system. It is Satan's system. It is the enemy's system. And I always argue, let's not help it along. Let's not accelerate it. We know it's going to happen, but don't do things to accelerate. And right now, our prayer should be the president and this country would do everything it can to slow that globalization and that weaponization of technology, not accelerate it. But
put more, you got to put a governor on it somehow, some sort of, I'm not typically in favor of a lot of government regulations, but I think when it comes to AI, there's going to, if we just allow them to self-police themselves, I can tell you right now where it's going. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Because we have statements right out of these people's own mouths. People like Larry Ellison said last fall, I think it was around September, October of 2024, in an interview, that when AI is fully implemented and we have these surveillance cameras showing everything in real time to law enforcement, quote, everyone will be on their best behavior. He said that.
Yeah.
So we know where he's going with it. And this is one of the president's main allies in what he calls the Stargate project. Okay.
That's right.
I've written about Stargate. Go on my website and search the term Stargate, both on leohohmann.com and on my Substack. And you'll find information about that.
Yeah. Amen to that. Amen to that. Well, brother, thank you so much for staying on with us a little longer today. Again, folks, leohohmann.substack.com and also leohohmann.com. Check out both of those sites. And again, I would highly encourage you to subscribe and pray for Leo, support Leo, because we need this truth telling, and we need to have eyes open, and we can, again, let's be realistic, let's be balanced, celebrate what is good, but also be warning about those things that are dangerous and should raise an eyebrow at the minimum. And that's what you've done in your articles. And also pray for the protection of folks in this country that are truth tellers, because we have an unhinged left. We know that it's not just, we're not fighting just the individual person that is unhinged. We're fighting a demonic spirit. The fight is not over, folks. The fight is just begun. So, brother, thank you so much. Thanks for being on with us today. Again, we'll have you back very shortly, because I really want to follow up and keep track of what is going on with this Commonwealth thing. And Trump's visit, by the way, to the UK. He's going to be visiting the UK soon. And we'll have you on after that. And let's see what's going on with this, because this is very concerning. So thank you, brother.
Always an honor to be on with you. Thank you, Sharam.
I so appreciate you. All right, folks. Thank you again for being with us today, your patience, and staying with us the whole time. Incredible information. Lots of things to pray about. Again, pray for President Trump. Pray for this administration. Pray for our nation. Pray for God's protection. All of it we need desperately, and pray that we are not deceived by these things. If you want to support our ministry, again, I want to encourage you, please go to our donate page. And we are, it's been very tough first part of the year, and we are short. So if you feel led by the Lord to make a one-time donation, we would greatly appreciate that. It would be such a blessing. tillministry.com/donate. It's tough. It's a tough time, and it's tough for everybody. And we trust the Lord, but we just ask, and the Lord will do what he wants to do. So again, you can make a one-time donation there online, or if you want to mail in a check, you can mail it to our P.O. Box in Maryville, Tennessee. Also, you can join our Gideon Army of 300. Those are our monthly supporters, monthly prayer warriors, to pray for us and donate on a monthly basis. And thank you, every single one of you who are watching right now, who are part of our Gideon Army. You are truly such a blessing to us and our family in this ministry, small ministry that allows us to keep telling and speaking the truth in love. So Lord bless you guys. Also, if you want to get the best freeze-dried food on the market, build up your emergency supplies, build up your storehouses, you can go to therighteousthrive.thrivelife.com, therighteousthrive.thrivelife.com. This is our site where we have our Thrive food right here. You'll see it. You shop with Sharam and Michelle Hadian. 10% of everything you get goes back to support the ministry. And it's the best freeze-dried food, 25-year shelf life, incredible. We cook with it all the time. In fact, my wife just the other day made a wonderful soup with Thrive chicken, celery, carrots, potatoes, all Thrive food, and it was amazing. But the best way to do it is if you want to set up a monthly, you can do $99 a month. The $99 gets you free shipping and wholesale pricing instead of retail pricing and paying full shipping. So it's a better way to do it if you are able to do that $99 a month package. 10% goes back to support the ministry. But again, we thank you for your support, for your prayers. I'll be back with you Thursday night. We have Patrick Wood on with us, Technocracy News. We're going to be talking more about the technocratic state, both in America and globally, what to be on guard for, and what to pray about for President Trump, that he would not fall into these traps of the technocrats, of the globalists, and protect America, protect freedoms, and make sure that we can represent our faith. So thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll be back with you again live Thursday night, 8:00 Eastern, right here in studio. May God bless you guys, and may we bless him, honor him, be faithful to his word to the very end until he takes us home. We thank you for that. This is Pastor Sharam Hadian saying have a blessed day. We'll see you Thursday night.